Well, the CPI inflation for October has come in, and this is something that CS Credit Suisse actually believe could be even higher than in September. And this is something that if you're talking about the CPI inflation, it rose to 7.34 in September 2020, up almost 85 basis points on a month-on-month basis, and this is almost 45 basis points higher than expected. So the inflation data is something that is slightly worrisome. In fact, almost 88% of the month-on-month rise has actually come in from vegetables, while the core inflation figure fell down 10 basis points to 5.6%. A few food categories, transportation, communication, as well as personal care accounted for the bulk of the inflation. Now, what Credit Suisse is saying is that the decline in core came from personal care, that is especially lower gold prices. But what they're saying is that the inflation remains quite high in telecom, given the fact that the ARPU levels are expected higher. Transport prices have gone higher on the back of the fact that there have been significant hikes as far as fuel tax is concerned, and also significant hikes coming in from cigarettes as well as tobacco on the back of higher cesses. Now, the other thing that you need to keep an eye out for, the CPI inflation remained quite low as far as housing, education and recreation activity is concerned. Housing, of course, housing activity is something that's remained quite muted. Education, schools, colleges yet to reopen, and recreational activities, given the fact that there's been almost a complete ban on these activities. So that has not really contributed to the inflation, in fact have helped in keeping inflation lower. Now what's actually happened is that the vegetable prices have spiked quite considerably in September as well as October, and they are quite higher on a month-on-month basis even for the month of October. So what the MPC had already flagged off according to Credit Suisse was that high September inflation, while higher perishable prices for vegetables is something that could drive upside to its third quarter forecast of 5.4%, the guidance of staying accommodative till early next financial year should actually prevent unnecessary bond market volatility, is what Credit Suisse is saying. They are saying is that some price corrections, especially in areas such as housing, almost which contributes almost 10% of CPI, would show up over time. The upside surprise in September 2020 inflation print came from food, which grew almost 9% year-on-year basis, 9.7%, adding almost 144 basis points. A few categories like vegetables, personal care, tobacco, transport and communication continue to drive the bulk of the inflation. Their weight is 28% only. But what they're actually doing is that they're contributing a significant amount of almost 55%. So the worry that Credit Suisse, Neelkan Mishra is actually flagging off is that the October CPI inflation could be even higher than in September, and this is something that you would need to keep an eye out for, given that inflation pressures could actually restrict the MPC committee movements.